In Jujutsukaisen, your strength is defined and classified by your grade and your worth as a sorcerer. The highest on the grades food chain would be special grade, which hold overwhelming strength, having capabilities to throw a country single-handedly by themselves. So special grades being such a big deal in Jujutsu Kaisen, I wanted to rank all of them in this video in terms of scaling and strength. Of course, there are only a few confirmed special grades, but some people that are implied to be special grades or have feats comparable to that of a special grade. So, for an example, people like Toji and Kashimo. Toji was able to kill and beat Geto and Gojo, which were still special grades, and Kashimo was able to give Hikari a good run for his money, which is also a special grade and supposedly comparable to Yuta when he's worked up. Now, I will be excluding Shinjuku's Showdown, since at that point, everybody just becomes special grade from fighting Sukuna, and I do want to save that for an entirely different video. So I'll be limiting it to culling games and below. And with that, we could start. I will be ranking 16 characters, and for a future reference, if some characters are rated a little low, that's due to me not counting their Shinjuku feats. Due to, again, wanting to do a video on it separately, and I thought doing up to culling games should be fine. But with that, I will get right into it. The 16th ranked special grade on the list is Hanami. Now, Hanami is one of the disaster curses, but he doesn't really have any really good scaling. But first, let's go over his curse technique, which is creating cursed plants. With curse energy, these plants can also grow inside of you, and the buds grow more inside you the more you use Jujutsu. Hanami does have some things going for him, as it's confirmed he has better durability than Jogo. But it is confirmed Jogo is stronger than him. Also, Hanami's feats would have him the lowest due to him struggling against the students in the Goodwill event and doing pretty much nothing against Gojo as well. So I think this earns him the lowest spot on the list. Number 15, Dagon. Now, Dagon is a lot more interesting due to him having a domain that is incredible in his favor and can easily change the tides of battle. I also do think he just has better scaling and more to go off than with Hanami, since he's able to dominate in his domain and against Nanami and Naobito, two decently strong characters. At his peak, I think he rightfully deserves this spot, since he has more room with his feats than Hanami, but most of the disaster curses should be relative regardless, but Dagon just so happened to have more showings. Number 14, Jogo. Jogo is honestly just blatantly over Hanami and Dagon, even if it wouldn't be by a big margin. Jogo has a domain just like Dagon, although he is confirmed to be stronger to the fact he performs better feats than Dagon, being able to blitz Nanami and Maki and kill Naobito. And on top of that, Nanami clarified himself that Jogo is on a whole other level than Dagon, so it would just automatically upscale, and Nanami would of course be a reliable source on this statement due to him just finishing fighting Dagon and would have an accurate gauge on his strength. Number 13, Mahito. Mahito is the last disaster curse on the list, and in my opinion, the strongest out of them all. Jogo says he propped up Mahito as the leader of the disaster curses because he will continue to grow stronger, and I do think once he reaches 120% and after his black flashes, he should have either reached or went past the rest of the disaster curse's strength. But they are at the bare minimum relative, since Mahito has a pretty good kit. His curse technique, Idol Transfiguration, and his domain is also pretty solid when he goes into his true form. I do think he should be above them and known as the strongest disaster curse. The only way he was even able to be beaten is by Yuji landing a Black Flash imbued with maximum curse energy, but before that he could not make a dent. Number 12, Geto. Geto is one of the earlier special grades we were introduced to in the story. Geto is a curse user, and on top of that is one of the most versatile sorcerers in my opinion, due to his curse manipulation and how many curses that are in his arsenal. Geto is pretty powerful, as we get showings from JJK0 and the hidden inventory on what he is capable of. Geto is able to combat against Rika and Yuta and JJK0, although due to this being a weaker and inexperienced Yuta, going relative with him doesn't really help him, since even with his Max Uzumaki he still lost to Yuta's Pure Love Blast, which kinda caps him to that Yuta's level, which isn't exactly bad, but everybody going further just has higher scaling and feats to what this Geto has performed and shown. Number 11, Oro. Oro is one of the characters that is not confirmed to be a special grade, but she does have scaling to a holding back Yuta, and does give him trouble due to her crafty technique being sky manipulation. And although we don't know what it is, she does also have a domain expansion as implied by Ryu to have RCT as well. I do think because of her feats, she is most likely a special grade. I think it's highly probable. Oro can control space with her technique and makes it hard for Yuta to defend against her, seeing she bypassed his defense and she is able to redirect attacks like the Granite Blast. Number 10, Ryu. Ryu is another sorcerer that the grade is not clarified, but again, similar to Oro, he is able to keep up and give Yuta some trouble, along with Ryu being able to just completely outclass Rika. It being stated a single blow from Ryu was enough to cause her to reach her limit before the time limit ran out. Ryu also has a domain, and his curse technique is of course his energy discharge. It also is made aware to us that he has the highest output in all of Culling games, which allows him to perform a lot of damage with his blast and normal attacks in general, due to his blows having higher output than the normal sorcerer. Number 9, Kashimo. Now the only reason Kashimo is this low is due to the fact that he doesn't use his curse technique until Shinjuku Showdown, but I still think this is pretty good. This is a pretty good spot for him. Kashimo goes pretty relative to Hakari, but ends up losing to him. Kashimo's cursed energy is electric, which gives him kinda a cool ability, being able to use lightning and infusing it as attacks. I do think he is extremely relative with Hakari, but due to him losing to him, I didn't put him any higher than this. I put him higher than Oro and Ryu due to the fact that they only get as far as a holding back Yuta, while Hakari with his jackpot at least should be on the same level of a going all out Yuta at this point. And with that, we can move on to number 8, which is none other than Hakari. Hakari in his base is funny enough isn't really strong, as he struggles against someone like Charles in base. When he goes into jackpot, he gets a bit busted, since his jackpot he is given unlimited cursed energy and reflexive reverse curse energy, which makes him unkillable for 4 minutes and 11 seconds, on top of him being able to activate jackpot multiple times with his domain. And due to his high curse energy output, he is incredibly strong in jackpot. Hakari is able to beat and win against Kashimo just barely, so that's why he's a spot ahead of him instead of being interchangeable. Number 7, Yuki. Now, Yuki is honestly an interesting one, since I was a bit hesitant to put her here in the first place, but her showings against Kenjaku made me think otherwise. Yuki has the curse technique of mass and a domain we don't get to see, but at least we know she has one. She is one of the confirmed special grades. Her durability and overall power is absurd, and she's able to withstand Kenjaku's domain and still fight afterwards, before using RCT. But we can just assume that Yuki has a short hit domain due to her status as a special grade, although compared to the people listed below her, Hakari and Kashimo, I think speed is her biggest issue, as she is pretty relative like Kenjaku in terms of speed, but due to her domain and her powerful technique, I gave her the spot, since she could most likely just one-shot with her punches and doing the same amount of damage. Number 6, Urame and Kenjaku. Now these two I gave the same spot due to Urame being implied to be strong, and on top of that, he has a very powerful technique, being able to freeze virtually anything, and in Shibuya in terms of physicals, he has similar showings to Kenjaku. And it wouldn't be too crazy to say, since we are aware Kenjaku still has the same physicals as Geto did, which went relative to JJK0 Yuta. Now Kenjaku, on the other hand, has his gravity technique, a refined domain expansion, and curse manipulation. So in terms of overall abilities and hacks, he definitely has it over Urame. But I do think the two are on the same level in terms of physicals, or Urame might be physically higher. But to argue that, I would have to go into Shinjuku Showdown, which I already said earlier on I wouldn't do. Number 5, Yuta. Yuta is quite powerful with the arsenal of curse techniques, just like Kenjaku, and just like I mentioned before, he is able to fight off 2 special grade enemies off while he is holding back. He also has immense curse energy and a domain, which we do know details about it by the end of the series. Yuta also has Rika, which is a special grade Shikigami, basically on the same level of him, so if you do fight him, it's pretty much fighting 2 special grades at the same time. Yuta would just be way above Kenjaku in terms of speed and physicals overall. It's a weaker version of him was relative to Geto. It's also implied by himself that Hakari is stronger than him, but nothing truly entails this, since Yuta could just be being humble, and Maki also doesn't think this is true at all. And on top of the fact that his kid is just better, same thing with everybody below him. Number 4, Toji. Toji would be considered a special grade like I mentioned before due to his feats of killing strong-ass special grades effortlessly. Now while Toji is so high and above Yuta and everyone else is due to the fact that he just has higher scaling, and what I am referring to is when it's confirmed that Maki and Toji are dead equals, and Maki goes relative and physical stats to 15 finger Sukuna, which is a feat that towers over anybody that was ranked previously. This would mean Toji's physicals would be on par with 15 finger Sukuna, and on top of that fact, he would have his cursed tools on him, meaning he would just outright blitz and outpace anybody that is not on the level of 15 finger Sukuna or near it. Now entering the top 3, number 3 is Yorozu. Is honestly one of the strongest, having the same reason Toji is at the top, but with better scaling. Yorozu is able to physically keep up with 15 finger Sukuna and tag him. When she puts her bug armor on, she starts to somewhat overwhelm him. She also can create a perfect spear that could have beaten Sukuna, stating if it hits, he's toast. And she as well has a short hit domain along with her curse technique construction. So I put her over Toji due to the fact that she should be relative in physicals, and she does just have the bug armor, which would increase her physicals further along with her powerful kit and immense output. Number 2, Sukuna. Sukuna is obviously number 2 since he was able to handle Maki and Yuji and of course beat Yorozu. His kit is pretty absurd, having a refined domain, Mahoraga, and the rest of 10 shadows along with massive curse energy reserves and output. But there's not much to speak about when it comes to Sukuna, since he's insanely strong and consistently contending for the strongest and for the last and most important spot, the number 1, which is none other than Gojo. At this point, Gojo should be stronger than 15 finger Sukuna after he is unsealed, since Gojo should just scale higher and it's just being narratively implied that Sukuna will need all his power to take down Gojo. And that would conclude and end my special grade sorcerer ranking list. Of course, I say every time, if you have any contentions, leave your thoughts down below in the comments. I'd really like to hear your thoughts on this one, and if you enjoyed the video, I have more content like this upcoming. Content like this on a daily basis as well. So like and subscribe to see more, and this should be posted on Christmas. So just in case it is, I wish you all a Merry Christmas, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.